Service Dogs UK is about matching a veteran from the armed forces or the emergency services with a rescue dog and helping them through a 9-month journey so that they become an accredited partnership. We've had just phenomenal success. Those who have been on the programme, can't rate it high enough. The difference in them, the way it's changed their life for the better. Some would even say it's a lifesaver.
I served for 8 years in the British Army. I served in the Royal Anglian Regiment, the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Anglian Regiment. They were an infantry unit. They are a field fighting force. So when I went for selection, they asked me what I wanted to do. I told them I wanted to be a soldier, so they put me in the infantry. So I served for 3 years in a regular field force battalion, doing tours of Northern Ireland and Bosnia. Obviously went off to Africa as well. So yeah, that was my time in the military. I could end by saying that perhaps my PTSD is not attributed to military combat. It was more the way in which I left the army. So it's quite a difficult time, it's quite a difficult thing for me to talk about, but I'll try and get it out as much as I can.
Service Dogs UK began in 2015. There was a real need for it because we had veterans from the armed forces and the emergency services who were increasingly having problems with PTSD. And I'd done some research in the States, and in the States they've got quite a few things that they do as far as assistance dogs and animal assisted intervention, and I brought it back to the UK and started Service Dogs UK, which is a unique charity in the UK.
I realised later on in life, I think I was a bit of a late developer, that I was gay. And at that time in the military you couldn't be gay and serve. So the mixture of this and trying to progress with my life, I got to a point where I couldn't deal with being gay and being in the army, sort of working Monday to Friday in the army, and then going out on weekends and being gay. It just got to a point where it was just too overwhelming, and I just couldn't live this deceitful life anymore because I couldn't tell anyone. So I decided to, some people might say it's very stupid, to tell them rather than get caught. And as a result of that, all sorts of things happened to me. I was sent to a psychiatric unit within the military. I was put in prison for 3 months and discharged. And as a result of that treatment, that transpires later on in life, with a few add-ons that I might have had from my later career, that the PTSD developed, and that's what really my flashbacks and my main issues were about, really, the way I was treated, and definitely that time within the MCTC, the Military Corrective Training Centre. It's very difficult. But that's the broad brushstrokes, really, of my military career. I started having a few issues at work, really. So obviously being a mental health nurse, it's quite difficult and challenging. So I was assaulted quite badly by a patient. Actually went off sick, and that's when I first started to feel the effects of PTSD. I didn't know whether it was a result of the assault, but we had a flavour of flashbacks where I started feeling some of those unresolved issues that I might have had from the military. So that time in prison, the time in psychiatric hospitals, that kind of replaying in my sleep and really disrupting my sleep, having massive night sweats, to the point where I kind of went to my work and I said to them, look, this is what's going on. I've kind of got a rough idea, but I'm no doctor, I'm a nurse. What's going on? I think I might be suffering some PTSD.
So we're probably getting on for nearly 30 people who are on the have been on the programme or are currently on the programme. Often it's quite straightforward, but it's not always the case. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, and other times there's a sort of match made in heaven. They fall in love, and they're the right dog for the right person, and it all works really well. But sometimes it takes a bit longer.
Obviously, because I'm an Armed Forces champion, I was aware of Service Dogs UK, and one of the therapists that I was working with just said, "Look, Martin, you know, you would really benefit from this program. It would really help." So I approached Service Dogs UK. It's quite a comprehensive program and a period of interviews and stuff to get onto the program to make sure you can cope. So I was lucky enough to get onto the program. I went along about a year ago now. It was about the second week in December. So on my first day at training, I met Ollie. He was in foster care at that time. I fell in love. Everybody says that it's kind of a mutual love. Obviously, I feel a bit biased, and I just think the world of him. It's amazing. He does amazing things for me. We palled up. We got to know each other. He came for a couple of overnight stays. That's really difficult as well, because he comes for a day and a night, and then he goes back to his foster carers, and then you might not see him for 3 or 4 days again. And then he's back for 2 nights and 2 days, and they just build on that, until the point where you get to 3 days and 3 nights. It's really difficult saying goodbye to him when he had to go, but on reflection, when you look back at that and the training that we have, it really helps build that bond, and it really helps him to settle here really quickly. And that's how I became involved. Really, I was invited onto the program, and here we are now, 9 months later, or a year later. I guess it's a little bit longer than 9 months because we've had COVID in the middle. And we've just completed the public access test, and Ollie's now a fully qualified PTSD assistance dog. I think this is probably the most amazing thing about service dogs, and Ollie in particular. It's not unique to Ollie. Most of the dogs do it within Service Dogs UK. They're not really trained to do it. It's just something that they're aware of all the time. I think it's one of the things they work at selection when they're selecting the dogs, to be in tune with that emotional state. So it doesn't happen anymore since I've had him. I've had a few nightmares, so it's that sequence, that PTSD sequence again, where you develop night sweats, and you could move into a night terror or nightmares. So as soon as he detects that I'm sweating in the night, he will wake me up before I have that nightmare. I think that's an amazing thing. It's really helped me so many times now, just to stop me from going into that mode, to go having that nightmare. He stays awake, he stays beside me, he's looking at me, he's probably panting at me until I settle. My breath rate comes down. That's something he's definitely in tune with, breathing. And as soon as he feels I'm more settled, he will settle, and he'll snuggle up and we'll kind of have a little sleep. I believe that he was owned, and then the people that had him, they had a kid, and the kid developed allergies, so he had to go. Their loss is my gain.